They're so much fun with that cheap ass stop animation.
Oh yeah.
Go
Hey, it's
ahead,
cute.
go ahead, Kadoshi.
Oh, this is Kenoshi Abominito, and are we? Did we get that last, or do I have to say what I
Just
said
say
before?
it again. Say it again.
Oh, the Joystick Game Awards. Their announcement of the Game of the Year. I don't believe you guys. And for the Game Awards, why the heck did you guys exclude Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 and put Final Fantasy VII Remake? I'm sure Tony Hawk was a much more influential game than Final Fantasy VII.
Uh,
I can give you a list of reasons why.
uh.
Somebody, I listened. What I mean by that is, it. Obviously, it got a lot of people interested in skateboarding. Also, probably got people interested in music they wouldn't otherwise be, you know, have heard of or listened to. I mean, it was for a short time, but you know, I
Uh,
mean, I don't know.
Look, I will say that Tony Hawk Pro Skater is a better game. Um, it's aged better than Final Fantasy VII. I will definitely say that because you can like even without the remake, you can go back and play Tony Hawk 1 and 2 on the N64 or the PlayStation. Those games are still fun to play. They're
Yeah,
still really fun. Going back and playing a vanilla, unmodded, like no changes, Final Fantasy VII is a fucking chore. And that is the only Final Fantasy of the 3D era that I can say that about. Because Final Fantasy VIII, you can go back and play that once you figure out how to cheese the gameplay algorithm, and it's kind of fun breaking it. Final Fantasy IX is still kind of fun. Final Fantasy X is still kind of fun, but Final Fantasy VII, that is a slog, man.
then
That is a
I got
slog of a game to play.
the patience of a monk to play that game than you two.
I have played every single Final Fantasy game multiple times, but Final Fantasy VII is the only one where I play it and it's like I'm forcing myself to do stuff. Like I've never had to force myself to play Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 3, 2, 1. I don't. I'm not like man. I gotta grind to level this up. Like Final Fantasy VII is the only one that I play, and I'm like, fuck, I hate this game.
Replace that with 10. Replace it with 10, and you got the same with me.
Yeah, 10 for me. I will admit I used to really hate Final Fantasy 10, but then one day a friend of mine explained it to me, or didn't explain it. They basically enabled me to see it from a different viewpoint, and it made the game so much better. Basically, I used to hate 10 because I thought Titus was the main character. Then I realized that Titus is not the main character. Yuna is the main character, and Titus is just the view. He's basically the stand-in for the
Audience.
player. He's the stand-in for the audience. And I mean, like unlike the least my least favorite main character in a Final Fantasy game, Titus does have some actual character growth. He's not the same person that he was at the beginning of the game that he is at the end of the game. There's actually some changes with the character. Um, so while I hate Titus, if you take him out of your party, there's other characters I can latch onto. But Final Fantasy VII, like literally, Cloud Strife is one of the shittiest protagonists I've ever seen. I know they basically people. I know fans of Final Fantasy VII and all the bullshit mythology that Square Enix created about that game, where they're like, well, if you read these extra comics and you watch the anime and you read and you play this side
And
game,
I could stop these people right there
let
because
me
if anything, we're going by game alone,
yeah, let me
and
tell you something.
oh boy,
Your
that's
property
not helping
sucks
you.
when you have to read supplementary material in order to make it make sense. Okay?
yeah. So, fun fact: originally, Final Fantasy VII was to be a Parasite Eve
N64 game.
game,
What? Yeah,
an
because
N64 game, and a Parasite Eve game.
I don't know about Parasite Eve because I think Parasite Eve came out before. After Final Fantasy VII. But I do know Parasite Eve's actually a pretty good game though. It's
They
basically
make
like
a. I think they make a reference to Parasite Eve and Midgar with the. I don't know. Somebody
yeah.
who actually has played those games should know. Will
Well,
know.
I played the first Parasite Eve because it was actually a pretty good RPG. Like Parasite Eve is if basically Squaresoft, when they were still like a premier JRPG powerhouse, took a stab at Resident Evil, but it actually worked. Like Parasite Eve was legitimately had some really scary concepts that uh you know final that Resident Evil just never really hit for me. But that's neither here nor there. Jewel, introduce yourself.
This is Jewel Rider Eli Moonstar coming to you live from the Busters Midweek podcast for November 25th, and right before Turkey Day. And we did. If anything, there's a few things we don't need more of: ham and and lame and lame and lame commentary from gaming perspectives. Unfortunately, we're about to get those in December.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not look. I'm just gonna not watch the Game Awards, and I'm gonna check out the announcements the day after.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the bullet points and the minutes afterwards. I'm not gonna watch it. I've watched it in years past. I'm not watching it this year because, I mean,
because I don't want to see. I don't want to see that freaking Game Awards committee run interference for Last of Us Part 2. So
I mean, they were pretty fair last year because we all thought that Death Stranding was gonna win everything.
yeah.
And that didn't happen. So, but now knowing how Death Stranding actually is as a game, it makes sense that Death Stranding didn't win everything.
Yeah.
Because Death Stranding turns out to be kind of a piece of shit. But that's it. So basically, in tonight's cast, we got some good stuff on the horizon. Our topics are we'll be talking about CD Projekt Red assures investors that Cyberpunk 2077 is totally coming December 10th. We have some Square Enix news where Marvel's Avengers still hasn't earned back its own development costs.
Why am I not surprised?
We'll talk about Crysis Remastered is promising a patch that enables it to run even more hardcore on high-end PCs. Crusader Kings 3 is enabling people to create their own rulers, so obviously someone put a Waluigi in there.
Waluigi.
Yeah,
How original.
I hate that character so much.
Yeah.
Some Black Friday deals. Let's see what else we've got on here. Square Enix is finally going to let people work from home, and also we've got some big news from the indie front, where essentially speaking, Dragon Age, one of the Dragon Age creators, has joined 3 Ubisoft vets to make Yellow Brick Games. So, I mean, that could be good. I guess I don't know.
It's one could hope.
We'll talk.
Are they making a Wizard of Oz game or something? Or?
No, that's just the name. That's just the name of the studio. We'll also talk about the negative and positive sides of fandom. We'll discuss a game and a franchise that basically made you say, I can't roll with this franchise anymore. And then that's the negative. The positive will be we'll talk about what they could do to get us back on board with that franchise. We'll also, let's see. Oh, and we'll nominate our asshole developers of the year. We'll discuss the 30th anniversary of Super Mario World on the SNES. Yes, it came out 30 years ago. That game came with my SNES. When I got my SNES for Christmas, that game came with it, and that game changed my gaming life. But that's neither here nor there. We'll discuss that later on, and of course, we will also discuss unpopular opinions and nominate our asshole developers of the year. So let's dive into it first with the negative and positive. So what game in a franchise made you basically say, I can't support this franchise anymore? They've gone too far.
If anybody knows me, it's probably as obvious as my name, and it's Pokemon.
Which game?
That would be actually the Generation 7 Sun and Moon.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah, especially when I have to usually defend Generation 6 because it was robbed of more of its glory. At least in my opinion.
It's fair.
I mean, I saw it on the wall that they were throwing in new concepts all over the place and threw away one of the big things that actually made it feel like I could actually use tactics, which is the rotation battles. And no, I will not miss triple battles for the life of me.
All right, that's fair. So what could they do to get you back on board as an old fan who supported it for years and years and years? What's like, like if you did this, if you created this type of Pokemon game and did these things in that game, this could get me possibly back on to supporting this franchise.
It's getting near the point that it's not redeemable, but for one, actually try to have more tactical ways of battling. I mean, come on, there's more than just one-on-ones and double battles. At least give us the chance to use rotations again, especially since you are on the hardware that can actually run it for Star's sake.
Yeah, I forgot how rotation battles struggled on the on the 3DS. I forgot that. It was like, damn, this shit's moving slow.
Naturally, it was triple battles that really struggled.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Boy. Rotation battles basically used the one-on-one concept.
Yeah, but you could switch between the ones in your roster at like throughout the fight.
Yeah. For me, yeah, that would be one. Two would be actually implementing putting the features that made the online battling of Pokemon back into the game. I mean, seriously, if you knew what happened in Sword and Shield, it was a mess. And three, and this is probably going to be the most opinionated piece of mine, allow the option to either see the Pokemon or not see the Pokemon in the grass areas. I do not. For me, I personally do want to have the element of surprise and not know what I'm getting until it's too late.
So you want to Forrest Gump that shit?
Yes.
I never know what I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, people love trying to not have a battle, but seriously, if you're trying to avoid battles, evade the grass or use your beep and repels, and I do use them. Unlike these other souls.
I don't know. I like getting in tons of fights because it lets you, like, especially with experience share, it lets you grind and raise up Pokemon that might be a pain in the ass to have in your main roster for fighting.
Yeah. And as I said, if anything, it ruins the surprise that you're going for something at the cost of, well, running into something that you probably don't want, or having a quote unquote surprise battle when you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. So basically, you don't want them to really change that much. You just want them to bring back the old shit.
I want to at least bring back some of the older stuff to at least start making a bridge back to them.
All right.
It's at least a start.
Okay. No. Oh, okay. Kenobi.
So, I bet you got more.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. The game was broken on PC. At least the main campaign. It was trying to follow Titanfall at the time because of it was the Warfare. Wasn't nearly as fun as Titanfall when it came to the multiplayer. It didn't have that traversal like Titanfall did, and I was just done. With Call of Duty. Like, I think it was Black Ops 2. I played. That was the one I played, and I think I skipped the other few. And Advanced Warfare looked interesting at the time, and then I was just like, I'm done with this franchise. Now, what they could do to bring me back is just to go out there, like they did with the zombie stuff. Because, like, I think it's either Black Ops 3 or 4. They had a stage where they had a dragon flying around. They had all this weird mythology with the zombies. It's like, why not? Why not go out there a little bit? With the whole Call of Duty franchise. Maybe distance yourself more and more from the realistic aspects of it, and maybe take in where you have people that are in the military that added some weird fantasy elements to it or something. I don't know.
I could see that. Okay, so for me, the game that made me jump off the train was Final Fantasy 13. Final
Ooh.
Fantasy 13 was where I was like, you know what?
Nope.
I can't.
F
I can't.
this ass amount.
Yeah. Fuck this shit. I'm out. Basically, Final Fantasy 13 is the game that made me realize Final Fantasy is never going to get any better. It's just going to keep on going downhill. And I'd been deluding myself for a while, because Final Fantasy X wasn't great, but compared to Final Fantasy XII's main protagonist, or at least who they kind of foisted onto you as the main protagonist, Vaughn. Vaughn is terrible. He's annoying. He has no redeeming features. And really, like Final Fantasy 12, if you look past Vaughn, is actually a good RPG. It's not a Final Fantasy game. It's a Final Fantasy Tactics RPG, but it's a good Final Fantasy Tactics RPG. It's just they chose Vaughn as the main character, and Vaughn is a fucking terrible main character. They would have done better going with Balthier and Fran, or Bosch, or Ash as your main protagonist that you play as.
But no, you get trash.
You get Vaughn, who is just fucking annoying. Like, Vaughn would have been great if he'd been a side character. But the fact that, like, basically after this intriguing opening where you see supposedly this soldier betray his king, turns out he's the twin brother of the soldier. Like, they knocked him out, took his place, took his armor.
Mm-hmm.
There's more shit going on than you suspect. That's really intriguing. And then, instead of having you play as that soldier maybe 5-6 years after the fact, where he's like, yeah, like, I didn't kill the king, I'm not a traitor, that could have been a really interesting angle. No, we get Vaughn.
We get the run of the litter.
Who is just a fucking terrible character. Like, really, really, really annoying. Like,
kind of like Shadow the Hedgehog, the game.
I wouldn't go that far, but he's just really fucking annoying. But with that being said, so 13 was the moment where I realized this franchise is done. Because 13 cemented the fact that the prettier Final Fantasy gets, the shittier Final Fantasy gets.
I was about to say, the prettier it is, the more lackluster it is.
Like,
so,
what I've discovered
where's your bridge?
What I've discovered is that the prettier Final Fantasy gets, the shittier Final Fantasy gets.
Yeah.
That's what I've discovered.
Does it have any way to make a bridge to bring you back?
Because really, the only reason I think anybody really enjoyed Final Fantasy in the 6th gen was because of those FMVs.
No, it was the massive amount of marketing. The marketing worked. Because Final Fantasy 13 like had a huge marketing push behind it. It still lost a lot of money for Square Enix. Because, the market for RPGs just kind of went away. Like, people weren't into them like they were back in the day.
I was about to say, that still lost money.
Yeah. why do you think they had all these fucking marketing deals and cross marketing shit with Final Fantasy 13? Because they were trying to make up the money they were losing. Because that game spent years in limbo. Okay, and then that guy was they were creating a new engine that they wanted to use on a lot of different things, but they wound up using it on only like Final Fantasy
One,
13, Final Fantasy 13 2,
I
13
thought it
2.
was Final Fantasy 15 that you were talking about for a moment.
No, 13 had that first, where they were going to create their own engine instead of using someone else's engine. Like, here's the thing: using your own engine is a really good idea. The problem is if you create your own engine, you have to use it on a lot of shit in order for you to make your money. If you only use it on just one or two
One
things,
game, it burns your pocket hard. It burns your pocket faster than fire.
yeah, because it's very expensive to create an engine, and in order for you to see dividends on you creating that engine, you have to use it on a lot of shit. Um,
You're better off burning money like that in the stock market
well, not
than a
really.
game engine.
They're companies who've created their own engine, their own development software, and they made money off of it, or they use proprietary software and they make money off it. But it only works when you use that same engine on a lot of shit, like Atlas with their engine for their games. They basically had been using the same engine since the fifth gen for their Persona games. It was the same engine over and over and over again, and they just kind of went with it. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, that's a pretty good deal to use the same engine over and over and over again. Um, you know, uh, Call of Duty has been using essentially the same engine for like 10, 15 games. Actually, no, since like the sixth gen, they've been using essentially the same engine. It's just upgraded, every console gen or so. So, I mean, that's actually a pretty smart business move, but you have to use that engine a lot in order for you to make money off of it because, you know, that's just how it works. Well, anyway, Final Fantasy 13 was terrible. Uh, it was a steaming pile of shit, and I never want to play. I like that. That was the moment where I realized these people don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know how to make good games anymore. Um, and in order to get me back, they would have to go back to basics, and I don't see them doing that. But if they went back to basics, if they went back to making RPGs that weren't graphical powerhouses but looked good, had decent stories, either turn-based combat or semi-turn-based combat, party members, towns to visit, shit like that, I might get back into it. But Final Fantasy, it is as it is right now, can go take a long walk off a short pier.
Yeah.
Like if someone tells me, oh man, like every time I hear Final Fantasy, every time I hear someone say, hey man, Final Fantasy looks, like every time we hear it, man, this new Final Fantasy game looks great. Let me explain something to you. The better looking a Final Fantasy game of the 3D age looks, the
The
shittier that
worst
game
is going to
is.
be in some aspects.
And it started with 7, but here's the difference between 7 and 13, okay? Final Fantasy 7, you still had Hironobu Sakaguchi at the helm, and Hironobu Sakaguchi knew how to make a solid game. Like 7, I think 7 is an inferior version of Final Fantasy 6. But Final Fantasy 6 is one of the best RPGs ever created. So if you're the inferior version of one of the best RPGs ever made, you're still a good RPG. Okay? Like it's
Yeah, and me and Ray could argue all day about the battle system, but we still could agree that 7 is better than 13.
I mean, like if you are the inferior version of one of the best RPGs ever made, you're still a pretty good RPG. But I mean, like Final Fantasy 7, like I said, I mean, it doesn't do anything new. It doesn't bring anything new to the Final Fantasy formula.
It just
But
refines it.
it doesn't even refine it, but but
To
it's
a
in
degree,
3D.
I didn't say how much.
Not even to a degree. It's in 3D.
Ooh.
That's the big deal. It's in 3D, and it had FMVs. That's it.
Ah.
That's all it had. Nothing new. The graphics changed. It went to a
I
different
think that,
dimension.
I think otherwise, I'd say that it was the start of the movie as a game concept.
I mean, they wanted to tell a more involved story, but they started leaning too much on graphics and not enough on good writing and storytelling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like I said, it's an inferior version of Final Fantasy VI, but Final Fantasy VI, one of the best RPGs ever made. So if you're an inferior version of an A grade game, that's still like an A minus B plus. That's not, oh man, I wasn't an A, I wasn't a straight, didn't get an A, I got a B plus. What are you complaining about? It's like that's basically Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy 13 is a gorgeous looking game. Looks great, but
I was about to say it's like something like this. You got the most beautiful peep in the gal in the world, and yet she's as terrible as you can get as personality wise.
no, it's worse than that. She looks gorgeous, but then you look closer and she opens her mouth and you find that her mouth are full of rotten teeth and her breath smells like ass. And you think she's got like a beauty mark on the back of her hand, but it's a booger, and you're just like, you see her get up and go to the bathroom.
Oh,
and she gets up way too quick, and she doesn't wash her hands. You're like, this bitch is nasty. like that's basically.
Thank you for making it worse than I was trying to bet it.
Well, I mean, that's Final Fantasy 13. It looks good, but then you look closer and you realize, oh no, this bitch is nasty. So that's Final Fantasy 13. And in order to fix it, Square Enix would have to go back to basics, because that's when their RPGs were at their best.
Yeah.
Stop trying to Stop trying to capture these graphics whores, because you're killing your games by focusing on, we need to make these games gorgeous. Please stop.
Yes.
Just stop. All right. RPGs don't need to be gorgeous. They need to be functional. Okay. The graphics need to be functional. People don't want to go back to to letters and characters being representative of the characters on the screen. But I mean, they don't need to look, oh man, look at the sweat on that character's face. Who cares?
Yeah.
So yeah, they need to go back to basics. And that would make Final Fantasy, that would bring me back on board on Final Fantasy. But with that being said, it's time to move on to the next topic. If you guys will allow me. The next topic is...
What's on the menu?
The next topic is we will discuss news about a new gaming studio coming from Mike Laidlaw, who is the guy who basically helped create Dragon Age. So there you go. He's formed a clique with some former Ubisoft devs, which when they said Ubisoft devs, I was like, yeah.
I had to look and say, is this guy sane?
Were these the Ubisoft devs that were trying to rape people or drugging people and shit?
Yeah, I was thinking, is he sane? Because Ubisoft has some questionable characters, and that's putting it lightly.
Because I have to know which ones, because it all depends on who you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? But that's my own personal opinion. What do you think?
I'm a little worried.
Hopefully they make something decent. I don't know.
I hope so, but I mean,
I hope the guy has 911 on speed dial.
not holding out hope. I hate to say this, I'm not holding out hope.
The reason why I said I hope he has 911 on speed dial because he might need an exit.
I'm not holding out hope. That's all I'm saying. Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't hold out hope either.
I mean, let's keep it real. Most of these studios most of these indie studios created by really good developers never make shit that people want to play.
Yeah.
Or if they do make something, it's not close to what. There's very few indie studios made from people who used to be in the industry that come together and create something that like people universally are like, man, this shit was awesome. The only recent example I can think of is Shovel Knight, because those were former Activision developers. So.
And that has quite a history.
That was a rare occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my opinion. So, I mean, you guys have any thoughts on it? I mean, do you think it could work? Yes, no, maybe so.
I'd say, considering I said that he might need 911 on speed dial, he might have a disaster on his hands.
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, if these are some of the developers who were run out of Ubisoft by the toxic managerial and toxic work culture, okay, then they're just looking for some place where they're not going to get railroaded by the man. Okay, so they just want a place where they can shine.
If that's true, I could say I hope he does well.
Yeah, I wish him the best. But if these are people that were part of the problem and they were jumping off the ship before they got shit canned, then I'm a little worried.
The reason why I said 911 on speed dial.
So.
Because it could go either heavenly good or I need an adult. Anyone else?
That's it.
No, that's all I got.
Then what's on the menu next?
Next, we got these news stories. we got these news stories, son. Actually, the first one is a big one. Super Mario World. We're at the 20th anniversary of Super Mario World. Arguably, the best Mario game ever created. Oh, the best 2D platformer, Mario 2D platformer ever created. I know some people are gonna say it was Super Mario Brothers 3, but here's the thing, okay? Super Mario Brothers 3 has skippable levels where you can skip entire worlds with the warp whistle, and a lot of fucking useless ass power ups. Okay.
I mean, one power up is basically only good in one world.
2 levels. There's a power up that's useful in 2 levels. The rest of them, it's just a fucking waste of time. They're hidden power ups that are really interesting, but good luck keeping them for 2 or 3 levels. Like basically Super Mario Brothers 3 feels like they threw everything at the board and hoped something could stick. Super Mario World is very refined, so to me it is a better Mario game. But we're not talking about that. This is about the 30th anniversary of one of the most influential 2D platformers of all time. What do you guys think about Super Mario World?
It was what got me with the Super NES and something I actually played for quite a long time. In fact, I think I played it for nearly a year before getting another game.
I played that game. Nonstop. Never beat it, but I played it a lot, and Evan was able to get 99 lives. So it's like it was back in the day when you were a kid and you can only buy or you can only get 1 or 2 games a year and get everything that came out.
Christmas and your birthday.
Yeah.
Maybe if you got really good grades, you might get another game.
Yeah.
Well, I got that game at lunch. I remember because I was 4 years old. My birthday came in February, and like the SNES came out in November, and I got it for Christmas. So my parents put it on layaway and got it and brought it in the house. I was like, "What is this huge package?" Opened it. Super Nintendo came with the fucking system, and that was the first Super Nintendo game I had ever played. They later for my birthday also got me like
Additional games.
they got me Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and I want to say Super Adventure Island. Yeah, Super Adventure Island. But let me tell you something. Super Mario World was my first Super Nintendo game, and god damn it, that game is awesome. Super Mario World is one of the best 2D platformers of all time. And I know you Sega fanboys are gonna say, "Well, we had Sonic the Hedgehog." Motherfuck Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay.
I was about to say, Sonic clearly shows his age a lot more than Mario does.
Sonic the Hedgehog is nice. I'm not gonna lie, it's nice. You know, it's nice. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog, it's nice. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2, also nice. But Super Mario World, that is one of like literally, if you were a game developer and you had to go to school in order to learn that craft, I would say in the curriculum here are 5 games you have to play and understand how they were designed in order to understand game development. Game
Chrono
design.
Trigger and Super Mario World would be two of those games.
Not Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is very that's more of an advanced game. But for platforming, I would say Super Mario World, the original Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World, Banjo Kazooie, Donkey Kong Country, the original, and Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. You should play all those games in order to understand game design principles to make better games. All right. The original Super Mario Brothers, because it really encapsulates how to teach, like the World 1-1 teaches you the basic skills you need to learn in order to play the game in the first level, like how to dodge enemies, what a power up is, power ups you want, power ups you don't want. And yet there's also advanced shit in there for people who've played the game before. It's a very well designed level. But Super Mario World takes that game design concept from Super Mario Brothers and raises it exponentially. It's so well made. And it does things that like other 2D Mario games have kind of dropped the ball on were in Super Mario World. Like the ability to carry your Yoshi from level to level to level. Go play New Super Mario Brothers. You can't do that shit. If you get a Yoshi for a level, at the end of the level, you got to give it up. Give up your Yoshi. They lost features in later games. Didn't refine them. Think about that.
Yeah.
Also, it had one of the best power-ups of all time. One that they haven't brought back. We've gotten that piece of shit Tanuki suit and Tanuki tail. The Firefly's been there for years. Where's the cape feather?
Yeah, that hasn't come back.
So, yes, Super Mario World, one of the best 2D platformers of all time. And here's the awesome thing about the Super Nintendo. If you're someone who thought Super Mario World, there's no way there can be a better platformer than this on the Super Nintendo. A few years later, Donkey Kong Country. Which is better than Super Mario World. Amazing. Amazing. And then you're like, you play Donkey Kong Country, you're like, man, there's no way they could make a game better than Donkey Kong Country. I mean, this platforming, it's so great. Donkey Kong Country 2. You're like, God damn. Look, listen, if you love RPGs and 2D platformers, the Super Nintendo can't be beat. So yeah, Super Mario World, one of the best. It's I would argue and say it's a better launch game than Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Because the NES in Japan didn't launch with Super Mario Brothers, but in America it did. So I'm going by the American launch. It was the best launch game for a system. Period. I would say it's even better than Super Mario 64 for the N64. Um, and really, I don't think Nintendo has had a launch Mario game that was as seminal or as well designed as Super Mario World. Yeah, I said it. So, what are your guys' thoughts about the 30th anniversary of Mario? It's the Super Mario World for the SNES.
Cheers, cheers to, cheers to fine gameplay that aged like wine. Good wine, mind you.
I guess so. Um, so, anything you want to add, Kanoshi?
Yeah, Super Mario World is a really good game, and if they were to remake it, I don't know. I think it's one of the. It's like Chrono Trigger. I don't think that game should be remade.
Uh, I
They should
mean,
just leave it alone. There are just certain things that just should just be left alone.
I agree with you. They shouldn't remake Chrono Trigger, but I wouldn't say no to a. I would love to. I would love a real sequel to Super Mario World. Just like I
Yeah,
would
that'd be
love a
nice.
real sequel. I would love a direct sequel to Super Mario World, and I would love a direct sequel to Chrono Trigger. I would love
Yeah,
direct sequels to both of those games. And no, Yoshi's Island is not fucking Super Mario World 2.
yeah.
I don't want to hear that shit. And Nintendo needs to get a foot up their ass. Nintendo needs to get a foot up their ass for even saying that shit. Yeah, it's no, this is Super Mario World 2. No, it isn't, you lying motherfucker. I'm glad. I'm glad. Even as a kid, I could sniff through the bullshit because I saw the gameplay for it. I was like, this shit's not Super Mario World 2. And I was right. Like, I had a choice between getting that game and Donkey Kong Country. And I chose Donkey Kong Country. I was like, you ain't gonna fool me, motherfuckers. And I think I won in that deal because, I mean, if you compare Yoshi's Island to Super Mario World is so much better.
I got both, and they both are good.
I've played both, but I I gotta disagree. I don't think Yoshi's Island is on par in terms of platforming and level design with with the original Super Mario World. If you want to compare it to the other platformers that existed around the time it came out, is it on par with Donkey Kong Country? Fuck no. Is it on par with Donkey Kong Country 2? Fuck no.
Hmm.
Uh, it's good. Like I would say, if I had to put a grade on it, it's a B minus. But it ain't Donkey Kong Country 1 or 2 good.
Eh.
Um, so yeah. But yeah, Super Mario World, one of the best games ever made. Um, and I wish there were more people. I wish that there were more people talking about how fucking awesome that game was, because it is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Legit fucking awesome. Like And I don't think that you would. And here's the thing. Like Super Mario World is like the only the only 3D Mario games that I could put in comparison to Super Mario World for the SNES is maybe Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. And I'm going to say something blasphemous. I think Mario Galaxy 2 is better than 1.
You
Um,
know,
1 has some pacing issues, and that overworld is tedious as fuck. Um,
it's kind of that overworld's a little bit of a mess.
well, it's just tedious. It's like if they did more with it, it would be interesting. But it's just kind of there to gate off progress, which is kind of if
Yeah.
if the gating off wasn't tedious, like okay, if instead of you just feeding Luma's star bits, if you had to go into certain levels and rescue Lumas and bring them back in order to open up new worlds, that'd be interesting. Or you know,
Yeah.
if Lumas were like, well, I could open up this new area, but you'll have to do some type of like mini quest in this area where you'll have to like collect like 100 coins and run some type of gauntlet collecting some type of MacGuffin. That'd be cool, but it's just there to gate off progress. It doesn't serve any other purpose just to do that.
Yeah.
And that's before having to remember that you need to grab all these little star bits so many times in order to feed those
Yeah,
hungry
yeah.
little
So it's
infants.
yeah, everything there is just to gate off the progress so you don't go through the game as quickly. Like Mario Galaxy 1 is a like once you get to the actual courses, it's really well designed, but that overworld kind of drags down, which is why they eliminated it in Galaxy 2 for the most part, and you almost dive
I
directly
was
into
about
the
to
action.
say the the level the level select is a lot less interactive than Mario Galaxy 1.
That is true, but I mean, it does it. Is it a detriment to the game though? like or I don't think many people were missing you know all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
I was thinking that the fanfare is negatable.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I need to have. Not really. I mean, I like Rosalina. She's one of my favorite new characters. But god damn it, if I have to feed one more Luma Starbits and listen and watch Captain Toad talk shit, I'm like, dude, you suck. You can't even jump. Shut the fuck up.
I was about to say, I I honestly didn't expect to see Captain Toad there, but also I would want to say if I have to feed those Lumas again, I'll feed them something, all right.
Yeah,
Where's the bomb?
I think instead of making another Mario Odyssey, I think Nintendo could make Mario Galaxy 3. Except they should steal some ideas from Super Mario 64 DS, where you had like multiple playable characters. I think they should have like 6 playable characters in Mario Galaxy 3. Like you have Mario, Luigi, Rosalina, Princess Peach, Captain Toad, and hell, add Wario while you're at it.
And no, we're not adding you.
And they could have each have their own motivations, except Waluigi. He's like, look, I'm just trying. Not Waluigi, Wario. So, not Waluigi, Wario. Add Wario, except his whole thing is that he's just in it for the money. Like like he's not in it. He's like, fuck saving the world. I just want to get paid. That's it. Like his whole thing. I just want.
Yeah,
the money.
I was trying. I was having a laugh because you actually mentioned Waluigi.
Yeah, well, I had Waluigi on the mind because I uploaded that story, but yeah, I think that could work. I think that could totally work. But let's keep it moving. Square Enix. So congratulations to the 30th anniversary of Super Mario World. Our next little bit of news: Square Enix will finally let employees work from home permanently, and all it took was a pandemic. Yeah.
About time they evolved.
I mean, I hate to say this, but do you really need to be in an office to write code?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking of. I think
Only if
this
you
is one.
only
one
if
of
you're
the,
trying to review it to
well,
somebody else, but that's iffy.
the whole pandemic thing. I think has gotten people thinking about certain jobs. Like, do I really need to be at an? Do I really need to drive 20, 15, 20, 30 minutes to do something I could possibly just do at home.
I mean,
I mean,
there's some
It's just-
things where being in the office is important. But like, here's the thing: for game development, all you have to do is write your portion of the code, send it to your manager, and meet a deadline. That's all you got to do. And then they look at it like, does this work? It doesn't work. Okay, fix it. Like that's all. Literally, that's all you got to do. Like there's no you don't need to be because let me let you know a little secret. I worked in the office. You know how much time is actually efficient at an office? About 30%. Normally in the morning. Okay.
I was about to say, I thought it was at least 40%.
No, 30. Because here's the thing, okay? Typically speaking, people are at their most productive for the first 30% of their time at work. So typically, you get up, you shower, you shave, you do your morning stuff, you put on your clothes, you have your cup of coffee, you get to work. Once you say hello to your fellow workers, you get your work, you boot up your computer, or get started. Those first 3.5 hours before lunch, those are the most productive times at work. Okay? That's it. Then lunch hits. Okay? It's all downhill from there. You literally get less efficient as time goes on.
Which is odd.
And that's just the way it is. That's unfortunately that's the way it is. So, these people are like, you need to come to the office. Literally, there's nothing. Why? And it's been shown that people who work from home get more work done at home than they do at the office. Because at the office, you've got, it's Linda's birthday. She bought cupcakes. It's 2 days before Christmas vacation. Ain't no work getting done 2 days before Christmas vacation.
Especially on Friday. If you work in an office that's not open on the weekends, like Fridays, ain't nothing getting done on Friday.
No. Let me tell you something. When I was working, like our Christmas vacation when I worked in private industry, our Christmas vacation began like December 15th, 14th. Okay. So literally December 12th. Do you honestly think any fucking work was getting done? We were having Christmas parties. We weren't doing any fucking work.
No.
I was about to say, it's more social.
No, it's just, it's laughable. So why the hell would you force people to get on it in Japan? They're taking mass transit. Come into work when they could, these people have computers at their house. They can work from home. If they're developers, they're just crunching code. Code.
The only thing I can see that goes against what you're saying is trying to be secure about the code and be sure it's not being stolen.
Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure what they're doing is there's probably in order for them to use the code, they're probably not coding directly from their PC. They're probably opening an instance on a server that's in the building that they're using the internet to go to. They probably have to use a password to get into that server, a password to save, a password when they leave. So there's a lot of retention and shit like that. And so, the data isn't on their PC, right? It's on that server. As long as they have an internet connection, they can do what they need to do. There's no need for all that shit. I don't get it. Good. Let those people work from home. Shit.
I get you. At least you can understand where I was coming from, right?
Yeah. What do you think this is? Capcom? Square Enix is full of shit, but they aren't Capcom.
Oh.
How could
I
we forget
that one?
Could we forget all that shit? So our next little bit of news, The Witcher 3 is still apparently making a lot of money for CD Projekt Red, and also they assure investors that the game is definitely dropping December 10th. So
The Witcher 3 is dropping December 10th for what?
This year.
No.
A toaster?
No.
Cyberpunk 2077 is dropping this month.
Next month.
Or next month. Yeah, they should have just put the next gen consoles on hold rather than trying to get everything else out at once.
What?
So I know that's probably one of the reasons they're holding the game back is because of the Xbox and the Xbox and PlayStation.
I mean, I think that may be a part of it. I also think that the reason they held it back was because there was probably they want this game to run smoothly on every platform it's on because they don't want to have like they don't want to Fallout 76 this shit. You know what I'm saying?
And we all know
Yeah.
how 76 ran.
Because here's the thing: even if you fix a game after launch, like No Man's Sky, people like the common gamer is always going to remember how fucked up it was when it first launched. You know, it's part of the collective memory.
Oh boy. Yeah. If anybody's questioning that, I'd say look at Sword and Shield.
I mean, but
before any updates.
that's life in general. You know, like when you like people don't remember when you do something well, but they'll remember your fuck ups. You know, they will remember your fuck ups more so than anything else. Okay, that's life. Um, there you go. Life.
Clyde said
101.
hello. Beep. Boop. If you want to invite friends to the server, click the server name in the top left and select invite people.
Minus that little interesting idea.
So
how about we next on the list?
Yeah, so Marvel's Avengers still hasn't earned back its own development costs. So Square Enix is still that game. Basically, Square Enix lost close to $50 million this fiscal quarter on that game. So,
if anything,
well, it was basically just a Destiny clone with Marvel characters.
Yeah, it was a shitty Destiny clone. It wasn't even like a good Destiny clone. I mean, like, here's the thing. You know,
I'm trying not to laugh at how much of a fail this is.
Well, ironically, this is a case of the snake eating its own tail because had the game been a single player game and not games as a service, where you have to keep on dumping money after it, it would have had a smaller budget and they could have released the game and people would have been like, oh, this is nice. I enjoy playing a Marvel game where the main character isn't one of the iconic characters. It's, you know, a new character that they're trying to pump up, which is Miss Marvel. And that's interesting. And then they could have added the other characters as DLC and shit like that. And people would be like, oh, okay, that's cool. But the fact that they pretty much built this game to be a games as a service thing and it doesn't really have the content to really pull it off.
Yeah, not to mention the bad timing.
Well, I mean, it's like that's the thing. It's not bad timing because a lot of people are working from home. A lot of people were.
It is bad timing.
A lot of people were working.
Did you forget? Endgame. That's how it's calling.
Well,
bad timing.
I mean, they really should have. This game should have came out when Endgame came out because people would have bought it because it was associated with Marvel.
Yeah, that's why I was calling out for bad timing.
They. Like literally, like I think this game was in development for 6 years. I think that, like basically it had been in like because this game should have came out like you said when Endgame came out, and they fucked up. I mean that's on them. Okay, I do think that them trying to make it to a games as a service model was also a fuck up because games as a service works when you have people who are invested, but literally 98% of the people who were playing this game on Steam left.
I was about to say, I thought it was about as popular as Artifact, which is about 95% gone.
No, it's worse than Artifact. Which means, yeah, but here's the thing. Valve actively said, we know this game isn't where it needs to be. We're going to build it back up. And Valve has tons of money they can spend to build their shit back up. Square Enix has money, but they ain't got the type of money where they can afford to just piss it away on a shitty licensed game. Because at this point, that's what Marvel's Avengers is. A shitty licensed game.
Huh. Then again, we already saw what happened when they screwed up Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
That was Capcom.
Yeah. So.
Or should we say Crapcom?
Yeah. I was about to say, we saw what happened when somebody screws up Marvel that badly. And
Yeah,
I
but
think it's Square Enix's turn.
with Capcom, the reason that game got fucked up was because the character rights were in different places, and instead of just being honest and saying, "Look, due to licensing issues, we can't get the X-Men," they had someone go up there and say some stupid shit, which pissed off the fans.
That these characters are functions.
Yeah, instead of simply saying, "Look, there are licensing issues going on. If you have a problem, go take it up with Fox, or go take it up the chain with Disney, or go take it up with the Marvel Studios. We have no."
I don't understand. I don't understand for the life of me why these companies can't say that. Is it because they can't make Fox or Disney look like the bad guys?
I think that's a part of it, because here's the thing: they got the license from Marvel, which is owned by Disney, and they don't want to antagonize Disney, and they don't want to antagonize Marvel because they might want to make other games using that license in the future. So here's the thing: business. Everyone thinks business is about, how much money you make, and that's a
I was
part of
about
it.
to say business is one part money making, one part socializing, and one part development.
Well, that's a part of it, but really, business is about relationships. Okay, people buy certain brands because they feel like they have a relationship with that brand. Okay, there are people who are Nintendo fans because they have a relationship in their mind with that brand. There are people who only buy Mac because they have a relationship with that brand. There are people who choose Coke over Pepsi because they have a relationship with that brand. Business is about relationships, or people who think they have relationships with a brand. Um, but companies also have relationships with one another. So you don't want to piss off the people who let you have a license to make something, because even though this game might not make money, you might be able to have a good idea for something else down the line that could make money. And if you fritter away that, here's the thing: Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was shit. But what if Capcom gets now the rights are all under one roof, and Marvel says, "Hey, we want a re-release of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection." Now, if they fucked up that relationship, that doesn't happen. They're like, "Well, fuck you," you know. But because that relationship was kept sound, they do get that, and there might be a re-release of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, all those games in one package. So that's why they didn't torpedo that thing. I know it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. But you got to play the game. That's how business works. Even if you don't like the game, you got to play it. So yeah. But this game sucked. It's failing on consoles. It's failing on PC. It's sitting in the corner with a dunce cap on its head. So with that being said, what are you guys' thoughts on Marvel vs. Capcom failing so hard?
Where's the laugh track? Because I'm trying to keep from laughing so hard.
Kenoshi?
I just think that's pretty embarrassing. What are you gonna? I don't know. They tried to think, oh, we're gonna be the next Destiny, rather than just making a game people wanted to play.
Just make a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of fucked up on that one. Oh well.
Anything else, or are we moving on?
Now we got to move on. So, anything else you guys want to bring up until we move on to unpopular opinion and finally nominating our asshole developers of the year?
I think I'm good.
All right. Kenoshi?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. I guess I'll give my unpopular opinion and then we'll get into the nominations. My unpopular opinion is this. I think that all of the ninth gen systems are underwhelming.
Hmm.
The Switch, PS5, Xbox Series X, they're kind of shit. Or at least, if not shit, just kind of underwhelming. Like each of them, the big hook for each of them is just kind of like, really, that's it. Um, the Switch's big hook is that you can play um, HD games on the go. Um, but that's kind of like what the Vita did, right?
Hi.
Um,
The Vita is trying to be its. The Vita was a real handheld instead of a console.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. The Nintendo is doing what the Vita did, but better. Like that. Basically, the Switch, for all intents and purposes, is basically a better Vita. One that the company who put out the device is actually supporting it. Because like everything the Vita did, the Switch does better. The Vita, you could the OG original Vita, you could hook into your TV and play games, and it would pass through the TV. Switch does better. Um, so it had a handheld mode, and you could switch it out to a full-on TV mode. But the Switch does that better. The Vita, it was like, yeah, it's HD gaming. Yeah, it's great. Switch does the same thing, better. Literally, the Switch is a better Vita. Um, but I mean, and I know, like we're like, well, it's a hybrid console. Yeah, but it also depends on how you use it. And so for a lot of people, it's a handheld. I think for the vast majority of people who own a Switch, they play it as a handheld. So yeah, it's a okay Nintendo handheld for those people. To me, it's kind of a piss poor Nintendo console, but as a handheld, I guess it's awesome.
It's a it's a good console, though I consider a bad portable.
Yeah, I consider it to be an okay portable, okay handheld, but as a console, I'm just unimpressed with the Switch. But that's neither here nor there. To me, overall, underwhelmed, okay? But then you get to the PS5, which literally, their big claim to fame as to why you should own this console is a whole bunch of future promises and faster loading times.
And here's the thing: faster loading times can be disguised.
Well, I mean, faster loading times are nice, but here's the thing. The faster loading times are built on the prospect of you not having a full hard drive. But most games coming to these
They eat
consoles
memory.
are going to be like 100 to 150 gigs. So, even if you get a physical disc, there's still going to be shit that's going to be downloaded to your hard drive for that game. So basically, I don't care how fast you think your PC is. If you have an 812 gigabyte hard drive and 80 gigs of that is of your SSD is reserved for the OS and like the basic functions that the console needs to do,
You're going to slow down.
and you've only got 12 gigs of memory left, you're still gonna have issues loading, even with an SSD. So
Ouch.
I don't really. So color me underwhelmed with this console. Oh, and their haptic feedback controllers. Ah, doesn't that sound familiar? Um, so then we get with Xbox Series X, which at this point has become an Xbox Game Pass box. So the only thing I can say is this: all three ninth gen consoles, I'm just underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Not impressed. What's that word? We are unimpressed. I'm unimpressed. I am unimpressed with these consoles. And I know that we've been getting diminishing returns with consoles since like the 7th gen. The jump from 6th to 7th was really impressive for a lot of these consoles. The jump from 7th to 8th, less so. But from 8th to 9th, god damn, this is underwhelming.
I mean, the thing is, it's just my unpopular opinion, which goes along with yours, pertains to the PS5 and Xbox One. I've never seen an unimpressive. This has been the most boring console launch to me, as it pertains to these game systems.
I agree.
And it's kind of, there's just nothing more than souped up PS4s and Xbox One, so it's just.
I agree. I'll give Nintendo this much. At least it was exciting getting Breath of the Wild on the Switch at launch. But you don't even have. And here's the thing: there is no fucking excuse for there not being impressive launch titles for the Xbox Series X and the PS5, because literally Nintendo gave them 2.5 years to basically have some impressive launch titles. And they have fucking nothing to show for it. Nothing. I mean, like, let me explain this to you. Nintendo owned the market in America in 1986 to 89, okay? The Sega Genesis came out, and within 2 years, they had taken like 70% of the US market, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in those 2 years, Nintendo said, we need to come out with dynamite shit when we launch our console. And they came out with some of the best launch titles of all time. Okay? Mm-hmm. Pilot Wings, F-Zero, Link to the Past, Super Mario World. Some really good shit. And those games have gone down in history as being really good. These two companies had 2 whole years uninterrupted to come out with some dynamite launch titles for their consoles. And what does Sony and Microsoft come up with? Microsoft, we got Game Pass. You pay us $10, $15 a month, you get access to all these other games you can play on other shit. And Sony, hey, you want to play Godfall? Hey, why don't you play Spider-Man Miles Morales? Oh, you mean a Spider-Man game that's just a follow-up to some shit that people already have? For real? Yeah, I'm done. I'm underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give Nintendo this much. They have a stronger library than the other two. They launched with good, strong games. 2020's kind of been iffy with Nintendo with their games, but 2019, good games. 2018, good games. Like, they've had the first 2 years really good, strong games come out for the system. I don't see Sony or Microsoft having the same thing with good, strong first-party games hitting those systems. So, I'm underwhelmed. I'm unimpressed.
Believe it or not, I got an unpopular opinion, which is gonna be odd. It's about Black Friday.
What, you find Black Friday is a racist term? Why not White Friday?
Very funny. I find Black Friday as a holiday that doesn't need to exist because, well, we got internet. We can be safe at home. We can not endanger ourselves with trying to trample each other or stomp each other out.
I agree.
And Cyber Monday actually offers a good deal too, with the only thing that you have to worry about is bid thieves.
I agree.
In bidding thieves.
I agree. Really, I think that people should. I think people should do I think more stores should offer online Black Friday sales and Cyber Monday sales. Because, I mean, there's no need for people to go in and do that shit in person. There's no need for it. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it will at least cause less painful mistakes to happen on the Friday after you stuff yourself with turkey, ham, and all the trimmings.
Yeah, I agree.
That is if you go that route.
I mean, even if you didn't do any of that for Thanksgiving, it's just there's no need to be out there. Because, I mean, this year, 2020, you've got COVID, but years before, people were getting killed, curb stomped, murdered over Black Friday deals. And here, let me let you in a little secret. That $99 big screen TV they only have like 3 of those. And most of them are going to get sold out before you even get into the line. So really, you're up there and you curb stomp someone over some shit that they only had 3 units of and you weren't going to get anyway. Is it worth it? Really? Really? For real?
No, they'll just rob it from the people who bought it.
I was about to say,
no.
How many Black Friday horror stories do you have?
Well, I used to work retail when I was in college, like the summer before I graduated, because I didn't there like the classes I had to take they weren't offering during the summer, so I had to come back and take like the few classes I had to take to finish up my degree, and I had to work retail, and I worked retail like basically when they had sales like that. And that summer, I mean, that fall, like there was like 1 or 2 classes I'd take in the spring, but I did Black Friday at home. Fuck me, I'll never do that shit again. I hate Black Friday.
I was about to say,
Black Friday.
You have a few stories about Black Friday.
I mean, just how people act, and they're like, "Oh man, look at all these sales." Man, there are no fucking sales on Black Friday.
Your mileage may vary depending on the store for that one, but I could half agree with you there.
All right, they marked that shit up for Black Friday. They're like, "Yeah, you got a sale." They're like, "Yeah, you can buy this. You can buy this TV, and it's $99.99." Let me tell you something. That TV that they're selling for $999 really cost the store like $750. So they still made money off your dumb ass, okay?
Wow.
They're getting their money, okay? You did not get a deal, all right? Anyway, yeah, Black Friday is bullshit. Let's nominate our asshole developers of the year. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Probably Ubisoft for their negligence when it came to dealing with the workers.
Well, that wasn't negligence. Negligence is when it's not your fault. You just ignored it, right? These are people who were in positions of management and were doing this shit. So that's like malicious. That was done purposefully.
Yeah.
You know.
So this might be a little bit of a toss-up between Activision, Blizzard, and EA for me. EA for obvious reasons. You could probably line it up and knock it down easy.
Well, I mean, the whole gambling mechanics, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Though with Activision Blizzard, it's kind of trying to encourage employees to retire and rehire after all their stuff that they disowned.
Fair enough. I guess it's my turn. I don't know. I mean, you guys basically named the ones I would have gone with.
I had either or choice.
I'm gonna say Capcom.
What did Capcom bite?
Because Capcom basically has just had a year where they've just been doing some shady shit. You know?
Ooh,
like losing
yeah.
people's personal information in a hack. not telling people until it came out, right? Ubisoft, you guys already put Ubisoft up there. Ubisoft basically having sexual assaulters and people being drugged
That would
against
be
their knowledge.
Kanochi's pick.
I'm just encapsulating all the picks.
Yeah.
Activision for having gameplay algorithms that basically pit people who weren't spending money on microtransactions with people who did. So in order to encourage them to spend money on microtransactions, that's pretty
Oh
foul.
yeah.
I think that's worse than EA. Then there's EA.
Trying to keep their Ultimate Team Online active.
Yeah, I mean it's all pretty bad. So those are all of them. Those are all of them up there. Let me put it down. Worst a-hole game developer, a-hole developer of the year.
It's tempting to go with either Activision or Blizzard for me, but
no, we're not. These are just the nominations. We're not.
I know.
It's going to be at the end of the year.
I was trying to say who do I want to put it? Who do I want to put my entry in for
Activision. I mean, personally, okay. EA and Activision are just EA and Activision are just doing shit to make more money. And while it's scummy, that's your business, right? Like the purpose of a for-profit business is to make more money. There's no clause in the contract in how they make more money. They just want to make more money. But Ubisoft is a special level of evil because,
you can understand where my vote. You can understand where I was having a hard time deciding if to change my nominations.
Yeah, people being
sexual a-holes to each other.
People being sexually harassed was just a bridge too far. Because there's no money involved with it. You're just doing you're just being a dick at that point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. So what do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I'm not complaining on our picks for the nomination.
All right. So with that being said, stay tuned Saturday where we will go over our asshole picks. Of the our asshole pick for our asshole game. Now this is going to be a bit fun because these are games that aren't necessarily bad, but have a character that is a total and complete asshole. I'm telling you right now, mine is that Goose game.
The Untitled Goose.
Yeah, because that's a whole game that's built around one character being a total asshole. So.
The
Wednesday after next, so that'll be December 2nd. We will do the conglomerate that is the biggest asshole of the year, and then we'll have the heads of all of those fight against each other, and we will determine our asshole of the year. So with that being said, listening to the podcast, anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Kanoshi?
Guys, looking forward to the game sales at all?
I mean, I pretty much have already either pre-ordered or bought everything I want, so no.
I'm kind of looking forward to something near my birthday, but that's for next year. But now I at least want to thank the people for joining us.
You know.
Do you got anything coming up soon, Red?
I mean, like I said, everything I really...
I was thinking that you have video.
Well, no, because I'm upgrading my my PC, so it's going to be a while until I get everything together. So I probably won't have new videos coming out until next week. So But once I get things together, it's going to be awesome. But it's going to take a little bit for me to get everything back together. So with that being said, this is the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace, good night, and
hype responsibly and avoid Black Friday.